Hello brothers and welcome to Sigma Old Man channel. Some people leave footprints in your heart. Sigma males leave question marks in your brain. Ever had someone visit your timeline, leave no trace, and suddenly your entire sense of self-worth is hanging by a thread? Congratulations, you've been Sigma'd. It wasn't a conversation, it wasn't a like, it wasn't even a double tap on your pet's photo. Just one silent visit and poof, they disappeared like a government agent who saw too much. And here's a brutal fact. A 2023 study showed that people are more emotionally triggered by someone who views their profile but doesn't interact than by someone who ghosts them mid-conversation. Why? Because the ambiguity fries your brain, and no one does ambiguity like a Sigma male. He doesn't need to chase, explain, or engage. He just observes, vanishes, and lets your mind do all the spiraling. So if you've been lying in bed thinking, why did he even come here, or was I part of a secret mission? You're not alone. He didn't just visit your timeline, he trespassed into your head, and now you're stuck over-analyzing a man who probably meditates in dark mode. This isn't about thirst, this is about psychological warfare. And today we're breaking down exactly why Sigma males haunt timelines like digital ghosts, and why that one casual visit has you doubting your entire online existence. Buckle up, it's about to get weird. Number one, they didn't fall in love with you, they fell in love with your ambiguity. They didn't fall for you. They fell for the space between your presence and your silence. You didn't flirt, you didn't chase, you didn't even stick around long enough to give them something solid to hold on to, and that's exactly what made you unforgettable. Sigma males don't give people a story. They give them a blank page and let their imagination do the damage. You dropped into their timeline once, left without engaging, and now they're out here building entire fantasy relationships based on a 3-second digital encounter. You were just a flicker, a brief notification, a name they didn't expect to see, and then nothing. That's what makes it unbearable. It's not rejection, it's absence, not dramatic silence, but quiet indifference. You didn't ghost them, you didn't ignore them, you simply left no emotional footprint. And in today's world, where everyone is either too loud, too desperate, or too performative, your stillness was louder than noise. They started asking themselves questions that only pop up when someone rattles their sense of importance. Why did he check my profile? What did he see? Was it on purpose? Is he watching? And worst of all, why didn't he stay? That's where the obsession starts. It's not about wanting you, it's about needing to know what they meant to you. And because you never answered, they had to fill in the blanks. That's how illusions are born. The truth is, they became addicted to what wasn't said. Your absence became a puzzle, a riddle, an emotional cliffhanger. And because Sigma males don't chase and don't explain, they never got closure. Just questions. And let's be honest, the human brain hates loose ends. So they looped, they reread their posts, they replayed your visit like a crime scene. They tried to catch your pattern, but you're not a pattern. You're a one-off, a limited edition. And the cruelest part? You probably didn't even think twice. That one silent visit meant nothing to you, but it turned their world upside down. They didn't fall for your personality, your looks, or your charm. They fell for your silence. They fell for the fact that you existed, then didn't. You became a ghost story they keep telling themselves, hoping maybe, just maybe, you'll haunt them again. Number two, you didn't stalk their life. You audited it. You didn't scroll through their life like some bored creeper. You conducted a full-blown digital audit. You came in with quiet intensity, eyes sharp like you were reviewing a resume for entry into your mental vault. You weren't looking to be entertained. You were evaluating, calculating, categorizing. You noticed how many times they quoted hustle culture, how often they fished for compliments, how many shirtless photos were posted under the illusion of fitness progress. You read between the hashtags, clocked the performative vulnerability, picked up on the fake deep captions recycled from Tumblr, and then you left. No reaction, no digital breadcrumb, just gone like your inner Sigma clipboard had enough data. Now they're spiraling. You didn't even say a word, but they're out here wondering if they passed your test. They're editing old captions, archiving too much content, pretending they're not desperate for your return. Because your silence wasn't just absence, it felt like an invisible verdict. You didn't ghost them, you evaluated them and then chose to walk away. That hits harder than any unfollow. You didn't give them attention, you gave them doubt. And that, especially coming from a Sigma, is like psychological fire. You didn't say, You're not it, you said nothing. And now they're stuck re-auditing themselves, wondering what disqualified them from your interest. You didn't come to admire, you came to assess. You weren't curious, you were clinical. You didn't stalk their life, you audited it, and your silence was the final report. Number 3. You turned their algorithm into a haunted house. You didn't just scroll through their timeline, you infected it. One visit from you and suddenly their algorithm went from predictable to paranoid. Now, every time they open their app, it feels like you're lurking in the shadows of their For You page. They keep seeing things that feel strangely personal. Quotes about detachment, stoic masculinity, mysterious men, emotionally unavailable types, and they swear their phone is trying to decode your vibe. You didn't like a single post, but your silent presence corrupted the feed like a ghost rewiring the walls. Their content went from dopamine hits to digital jump scares. Now every scroll feels like a reminder of the guy who showed up like a glitch in the system and disappeared without a trace. And it's not just the algorithm, it's their mind. You broke the fourth wall of their online identity. You showed them their curated life through your silent judgment, and now, even in your absence, they feel exposed, like you're always watching but never present, observing but unreachable. They've become hyper-aware of everything they post. Would he think this is lame? Was this too much? They question their captions, their stories, their entire vibe, not because you told them to, but because your energy whispered, this isn't it. And the wild part? You didn't have to do anything but show up once. Your visit didn't just haunt their feed, it made them see their own digital life through your eyes. And once that happens, there's no going back. Number 4. You're the digital version of a dream they can't remember. You're not a memory. They don't even know you well enough for that. You're more like a flicker in the back of their mind, like waking up with the feeling something important happened in a dream. But every time they try to recall it, it slips further away. You didn't give them substance. You gave them sensation. You appeared briefly, stirred something they can't name, then disappeared without leaving a single concrete moment to hold on to. And that's exactly why you've taken root in their head. They remember the way your profile felt, not what it said, the way your energy pressed against their screen, not what you posted. They felt the shift, that low-key static that hums when someone's presence is different. It's like you blinked into existence just long enough to make their whole vibe glitch. And now they're hooked on trying to recreate something they never fully experienced. They'll go through their history, their notifications, trying to find some proof that you were there, because part of them questions if they made it up. That's the effect you had. You were so subtle, so out of nowhere, and so indifferent, they're not even sure if you were real. But their brain knows something happened. They felt that weird pull, that low hum of significance, like they brushed up against something or someone that didn't belong to their usual world. You gave them the absence of clarity wrapped in the illusion of meaning. And now you live rent-free in their mental backlog, showing up as confusion, fascination, and frustration, all rolled into one. They don't remember what you said. You didn't say anything. But somehow you said everything. You're not unforgettable because they knew you. You're unforgettable because they never got the chance to. Number 5. They can't DM you. You're above the feed. They want to message you. But something about your presence tells them not to. You don't exist like someone who's waiting for conversation. You exist like an idea, a signal, a frequency. You're not tucked into the everyday noise of the feed, replying to polls or dropping heart reacts. You float just above it all, like you're aware of everything but untouched by any of it. And that aura, it paralyzes them. Their thumb hesitates over the message button, like it's a forbidden portal, not because you're rude, but because you don't feel accessible. You didn't give off talk to me energy, you gave off observe me and question your whole life energy. You were cool, collected and remote, so remote that reaching out feels like trespassing, like sending a text to a storm cloud or whispering to a wolf. They reread your posts, your bio, your digital trail, searching for a crack in the armor, something that says, it's okay, come closer. But it's not there. Because you're not playing the same game. You're not baiting, posting, thirst-trapping, or fishing for engagement. You're just there, solid, self-contained. So even though you showed up in their world, you never entered it. And now they're stuck with this weird feeling, like you're close enough to feel, but far enough to remain unreal. They can't DM you, not because they physically can't, but because you made it spiritually impossible. You're too much of a concept. You weren't designed for their inbox. You were designed to exist in the periphery of their mind, quietly challenging their self-worth without ever saying a word. You're not a conversation. They don't even know what they'd say. You're just visibility without invitation. And in this world of oversharing and hyper-availability, that kind of distance, it's intoxicating and impossible to replicate. Number 6. You're the villain in their soft boy origin story. You didn't even do anything. That's the part that makes it so ridiculous. You didn't break their heart, lead them on, or promise a damn thing. You just existed, briefly, quietly. And now they're spiraling into a character arc no one asked for. They're posting sad boy quotes with blurry sunsets, pretending they've been emotionally gutted by someone they never even had a conversation with. Suddenly it's, some people just use you and disappear and protect your energy, and real ones don't walk away, like you personally betrayed their inner child. What actually happened? You visited their profile once, blinked, scrolled, and vanished. That's it. And yet in their mind, you've become the villain who made them lose faith in humanity. They went from gym selfies and fake deep captions to "my soul is tired" in under 72 hours. Congratulations, you accidentally triggered their emotional rebranding. And the funniest part, they think it's subtle. Like no one can tell they're spiraling just because they added a black and white filter and posted a quote about letting go, but everyone sees it. You turned their entire aesthetic into a Tumblr relapse with a single breadcrumb of attention. Your silence didn't just sting, it inspired. You made them dig into their archive of sadness just to process the emotional earthquake of being mildly observed. Now they're acting like they've survived a heartbreak, when really they survived your indifference, and deep down they know it. That's what makes it worse. You didn't even try to hurt them, but the fact that you could without effort bruised their ego harder than any rejection ever could. You're not just the ghost they can't forget. You're the unnamed antagonist in their soft boy era, and they're going to milk that role for every dramatic post it's worth. Number 7, you gave them a taste of being irrelevant. You didn't block them. You didn't drag them. You didn't even acknowledge them. You just moved on, quietly, smoothly. And that's what wrecked them. You didn't just scroll, you scrolled through them, like they weren't even part of the scenery. And for someone who's used to feeding off likes, comments, and constant interaction, that kind of silent dismissal hit harder than any insult could. You didn't give them drama, you gave them insignificance. And that's a wound with no bandage. You gave them a microscopic taste of what it feels like to be invisible, to not be the center, to be bypassed, not because they did something wrong, but because they didn't even register as worth your attention. You made irrelevance feel personal, and that's what did the damage. Because most people can handle hate. They can even handle being ghosted. But being overlooked like they don't exist, that shatters something inside. Now they're chasing your validation like it's some rare drug. One look from you, one like, one acknowledgement, and they'd breathe again. But you're out here existing like their entire presence never even flickered on your radar. And that kind of cold detachment, it makes you unforgettable. They've built their whole digital identity to be noticed, to be praised, to be seen. And you, without a single word, made them question whether any of it even matters. You cracked their ego in silence. No confrontation, no rejection, just pure high-grade disregard. And now they're spiraling, not because they miss you, but because they can't stand how irrelevant you made them feel. You touched a nerve that's usually protected by filters and fake confidence. You made them feel like a background extra in a movie they thought they were starring in. And the worst part, you didn't even try. Number 8, they thought they were the main character. Then you visited. They were out here believing they were the star of the show, posting their curated selfies, sharing their half-deep quotes, talking like the world was watching. Every filter, every caption, every thirst trap was designed to scream main character energy. And then you showed up. Calm, detached, unbothered. You gave them one glance, maybe a story view, maybe a scroll through their highlights, and kept it moving. And just like that, the entire storyline shifted. Suddenly they weren't the hero anymore. They were the side character, the NPC, the one with a 2-line script in a plot they no longer controlled. You didn't say anything, you didn't need to. Your presence rewrote the script. You walked in like a subplot with better lighting, sharper dialogue, and a quiet aura that didn't beg for attention. It commanded it. You didn't play their game. You didn't chase their vibe. You left them standing in the background of their own story, wondering how you managed to make their world feel small with just one visit. And now, they're obsessed. They're trying to stitch themselves into your storyline like it's a survival tactic, changing the content, switching the tone, posting things they think you'd resonate with. It's not for the algorithm anymore, it's for you. They're hoping you'll circle back, drop a like, view something again, notice them, because without even meaning to, you flipped the script. You became the character with depth, mystery, gravity, the one who says less but means more. They're still the one posting, but now it feels like they're performing for a ghost. You turned their confident narrative into an audition for relevance. They thought they were the lead, until your silence made it clear they were just passing through your story, and now they can't stop rewriting the scenes, hoping for a comeback cameo that probably isn't coming. Number 9, you visited like an omen. When you showed up, it wasn't like a simple scroll through their timeline, it felt like a cosmic event. They didn't feel seen, they felt visited, like you'd stepped into their world for reasons they couldn't fathom. It wasn't a mere interaction, it felt like an omen, a sign wrapped in digital silence, like the universe had momentarily whispered, "Pay attention." And for a split second, they thought maybe they had missed something profound. Your presence didn't scream for validation, it commanded introspection. Their hearts skipped a beat, not from excitement, but from the eerie awareness that this wasn't random. Was this some cosmic message or just a flicker of digital fate? They're not sure whether to be flattered by your attention, terrified by the implication, or spiritually concerned that you might be some kind of mystical force meant to shake up their world. Flattery feels too basic for something this weighty. It wasn't a compliment, it was a nudge from the universe, telling them they're being watched by something they don't fully understand. But fear? Yeah, they feel that too. Because what do you mean to them, really? Are you a sign of something great, or a reminder of the things they've neglected, the corners of their life they've left unexamined? Maybe, just maybe, your visit has unlocked something deeper, something they weren't ready to face. And that's where the spiritual concern kicks in. Were you the warning, the sign of change, or the harbinger of something they can't control? You didn't just scroll past them. You left them wondering if they should pray, meditate, or check their stars. You gave them more than attention. You gave them something real, something unsettling, something they're still trying to decipher, and now they can't escape it. Number 10, you're a glitch in their social simulation. You're a code breaker in a world where everyone plays by the rules. In the digital realm, where attention is currency and interaction is the law of the land, you didn't follow the script, you didn't engage, you didn't disappear. You did the one thing no one saw coming. You simply existed without any of the expected reactions. You weren't a like, a comment, a response, or a ghost. You were a disruption, a glitch in the algorithm that couldn't be categorized. Everyone else falls into one of two categories. They engage or they disappear. Simple, predictable, but you didn't follow the pattern, and now their brain is running diagnostics, trying to figure out what went wrong, what they missed, what you are. You broke the code, and suddenly the system can't process it. Their whole understanding of digital interaction is scrambled. You weren't supposed to appear and vanish without leaving a trace. People don't just show up and leave no impact. Or maybe they do, just not like this. Now their mind is stuck in overdrive, replaying your visit like a corrupted file that refuses to open properly. They can't figure you out. They're stuck in a loop, scanning your profile for meaning that wasn't there, wondering why their brain insists on searching for something that doesn't fit. They can't predict you. They can't track you. They can't even forget you. You're the glitch that ruins their understanding of the simulation. You're the anomaly they can't correct. And that? It messes with their sense of control. It makes them feel like they're in a game where the rules don't apply and they're scrambling to figure out how to play. The unpredictability you brought? It's a puzzle they can't solve, and that's what makes you unforgettable. Number 11. You exposed how addicted they are to being perceived. You did what no one else had the guts to do. You made them realize how desperate they were for validation. They'd been living in a digital echo chamber, performing for likes, comments, and the endless cycle of dopamine that came from being seen. Every post was a calculated move, every caption designed to make sure someone, anyone, would notice. And then you showed up. Or rather, didn't. You didn't like, didn't comment, didn't give them the feedback they've been wired to crave. In that moment, something clicked for them. The realization wasn't subtle. They weren't posting for fun or self-expression. They were performing for an audience they never even knew they were dependent on. And you? You just watched without engaging. You didn't play the game, and in that you exposed just how badly they needed to be seen. You shook their entire foundation because for the first time someone didn't take the bait. Someone didn't need them to exist. And that, my friend, is far more rattling than any unfollow or digital ghosting could ever be. It's like you hit them with a cold splash of reality, one they weren't prepared for. They thought they were in control, but you didn't even care enough to play the game. Their addiction to being perceived was laid bare. No likes, no comments, no engagement from you. It felt like a social media detox that hit harder than any digital cleanse ever could. You didn't just ignore them. You showed them that they were performing for a crowd that was more obsessed with the spotlight than with real connection. And now they're left with this uncomfortable question. Who are they, if not a collection of likes, followers, and digital applause? It's a hard pill to swallow when you're forced to face how deeply ingrained your need to be noticed really is. You didn't just make them uncomfortable, you exposed the raw, unfiltered truth of their online identity, and that's something no filter can fix. Number 12, you're not a follower, you're the algorithm's final boss. You're not here to follow the crowd, you're here to break the system. You don't fit into the neat little boxes the algorithm loves to create. You don't post for engagement. You don't dance to trends, and you certainly don't live for likes. You move like a glitch in the matrix, an anomaly that shouldn't exist in the tidy, predictable flow of digital interaction. You're a rare sighting, like the Bigfoot of social media, elusive, mysterious, and never quite fitting the mold. They're used to patterns, scrolling through, liking what's trending, engaging with what's expected. But you're the final boss in their digital game. You don't follow the rules, and that's what makes you so unsettling. They can't predict you. They can't measure your behavior. The more they try to decode your actions, the more they realize they're not just failing to understand you, they're failing to understand themselves. Because every time they try to pinpoint your next move, they're forced to confront how they've built their own digital identity on predictable, shallow engagement. You've made them question everything they thought they knew about social media. While they're hustling for likes, followers, and validation, you're out here existing in a way they can't comprehend. You've become the glitch they can't fix, the puzzle they can't solve. And in trying to crack you, they're forced to reckon with the hollow nature of the game they've been playing. To them, you're like a digital ghost, a presence that won't be captured or manipulated. You don't fall for the algorithm's tricks, and that's exactly why it's so hard for them to shake the feeling that you're something beyond their grasp. The more they try to understand you, the less they understand themselves. You've become the ultimate reminder that there's a way to exist outside the system, to be seen without playing by the rules, and that messes with their entire digital reality. In the end, you're the glitch that never gets fixed, the puzzle they'll never solve. You've become a quiet enigma, a digital shadow that looms just out of reach. You didn't fall into the trap of validation seeking or the endless cycle of performance for an audience that only exists to be entertained. Instead, you've made them question everything they thought they knew about social media, about themselves, and about how they connect with others in this chaotic digital landscape. The silence you left behind isn't empty. It's full of unanswered questions, of confusion, and of a strange, magnetic pull they can't escape. You don't give them the satisfaction of being figured out, and that is your power. The truth is, you're not just a fleeting presence. They've been caught in the orbit of something much bigger, something they can't control. And that's the part that stings. They wanted your attention, but what they got instead was a lesson in self-reflection, in vulnerability, and in the fragility of their digital selves. You may have vanished, but the ripple effect of your visit will linger, pushing them to think deeper about who they are when the camera is off, when the likes aren't coming, and when the feed goes quiet. So, yes, you're real, but you're not the kind of real they're used to, and that's why they'll never forget you. If you've made it this far, you've just experienced the kind of digital truth they didn't see coming, so why not stick around for more? If you enjoyed this deep dive into the mind of a Sigma-level presence, hit that subscribe button and join the ride. Don't forget to like, comment, and share with anyone who might need a little reality check themselves. Let's keep the conversation going. Drop your thoughts below. I want to know how this landed for you. Trust me, you won't want to miss what's coming next.